Can we call the regional council meeting to order for March the 13th, please? Welcome everybody in the room and online. I'd like to acknowledge the Northern Rockies Administration Center is located in the heart of the traditional territories of the Dene Cree Dunizaw people of the Prophet River and Fort Nelson First Nations. We further recognize the rights provided by our treaty. And finally, we celebrate the contributions and enduring presence of the Métis people in our region. Please be advised that tonight's meeting is available for the public to attend virtually and is being streamed and recorded. Are there any additions to the agenda? So I have a couple. First one is I would like to go in camera and have an in-camera meeting at the end of this meeting. And I have, is there anybody from the BC Epilepsy Society online? Did they come online for the next meeting? Okay, then I will not do the proclamation until they come on. Okay, are there any council additions? Are there any staff additions? Thank you. I need adoption of the agenda, please. Moved by Councillor Grewing, second by Councillor Andrews. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. There are two sets of minutes there, the committee of the whole of February 27th and the regional council meeting February 27th. Adoption of the minutes, please.
Can I pull something out of the February 27th? Or
yeah, as soon as we adopt them, we'll do business arising.
Right. Okay.
So moved by Councillor Andrews for adoption, second by Councillor Roper. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor of adoption? Opposed? Those are carried. Business arising from those, Councillor Grewing.
Thank you. So on the February 27th Regional Council meeting minutes, it says an invitation should be extended to Fort Nelson First Nations Chief and Council and Prophet River First Nations to be included in the letter. Because there's like a resolution and then there's a change and then there's another change. And so, yeah, so I am on page 13 and it says an invitation should be extended to Fort Nelson First Nations to be included in the discussion. And I just want to make sure that that went out or is going to go out.
That's for the BCEHS? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think staff is interested in nailing down a date for that.
So I think we had the April 20th meeting and we were going to invite both Prophet River. No, Jaylene's looking like am I confused?
So perhaps we need some clarification on the resolution, but my understanding anyways was that council wanted staff to work with Emily Davies' office to set up a meeting with the Minister of Health, and then that Fort Nelson First Nation, Prophet River First Nation would also be included in that, or are we talking specifically about the BCHS meeting? Because there's two inviting them to be included in discussions right after.
Yeah, so it's kind of unclear, but I think that the intent was that they would be invited to the discussions, right? But then when BC Emergency Health Services, the date of April 20th has been confirmed for that presentation, can we invite Prophet River First Nations and Fort Nelson First Nations to that presentation as well?
We will, yes.
Okay.
So the mayor has it in his, sorry, I won't take the wind out of your sails there.
Yeah, that's why I said I think staff is interested in nailing down a date, and then at that point we can send out all the invitations. And I think there's two meetings that you're talking about, and I think we agreed that we would invite both nations for both meetings. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think staff wanted to nail down April the 20th at 5 o'clock. And so just trying to see if everybody has that date available for the EHS meeting. Yeah, presentation and meeting. I am available that day. April the 20th at 5 p.m. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For now. Yeah. Okay. Can you pencil it in? Oh, thank you very much. Would you like a resolution? No, we don't need a resolution to set a meeting up. We've already got a resolution that says that we want to do it. You just wanted to pin down the date. Okay. Okay. This is the public comment period. Is there anybody on the line that would like to comment on anything that's on tonight's agenda? There's nobody online. Is there anybody in the gallery who would like to speak to tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move to our delegation. Welcome, Ms. Vandersteen. I'm the Chamber of Commerce President, Kim McGlinski.
I'm just here to support.
Great job. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council, for giving us this opportunity here tonight. We're here to request Regional Council support the Chamber of Commerce by partnering with us in the trade show this year. And you all have a letter in your package. I apologize for the length of it. Apparently I was fairly wordy that day. It's a big ask. It's one we haven't come to you before, but I think there's a big value attached to it as well. We're not looking for this to be a grant or a donation. We're looking for this to be a sponsorship and a partnership with us for the trade show. As we're finding ourselves getting back on our feet, we know the economy here has taken a hit over the last number of years, and not just from the pandemic. We've been 3 years now without a trade show, so we're basically starting from scratch. And we know that costs are going to be up, yet I don't think we can attract exhibitors here with increased costs. So we've made a commitment to keep our costs at the very minimum 2019 levels, with some potential extra benefits for exhibitors to be able to bring them here and help them out a little bit. We're also running a bit of a competition, if you will, which normally doesn't really affect us with the way the trade shows have fallen over the weekends. April 22nd or 29th or something like that, they're in Prince George. And then May 6th, Mackenzie and Smithers also have trade shows. That wouldn't normally impact us so much, Smithers and Mackenzie, but given the travel and the fuel costs and stuff that's happening right now, I do anticipate it may. Kind of readjusting my efforts to see if we can attract from the north. We'll be doing some extra advertising and Facebook advertising and things like that in the Yukon, maybe even up into Yellowknife, but seeing if we can attract people down versus always trying to get them up from the south. And as a sponsorship, it would be the Chamber of Commerce and Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Trade Show. It would be full benefits of a partner, and would be a really good way, I think, for the regional council to show a commitment to the community and kind of getting this back up and running. It's a bit of a new animal with it being 3 years without one. I think that's the majority of what I wanted to say. We are looking to maybe do a few different things this year to help with that with exhibitors. We want to run more things for the kids. We are working with the museum to potentially tie in at least one of those days as the grand opening for the new expansion, so we can kind of tie that into the excitement of the trade show. Looking at exhibitors in the past have talked about wanting a pancake breakfast on the Sunday, so looking at partnering with somebody to do that and kind of make it a really big weekend for the community. And I did want to just publicly say thank you for the past contributions of the Northern Rockies, as well as Northwest Tel has come to the table again this year and is providing us with free internet services for all exhibitors and participants over the course of the weekend. And we've actually been talking to them about, they always have to run a cable in and put equipment in. They're going to actually tie that in permanently. We've gotten permission from Harvey Woodland to make that a permanent fixture in there so that they don't have to run it in and run it out every year, which may open up other opportunities for the municipality and events in the rec center as well. And that's coming as a donation from Northwest Health. So I do want to recognize that. And Bounce Radio has graciously allowed us to stick our flyers into their Fort St. John Trade Show exhibitors packages. So hoping that helps bring people up as well. And happy to take questions.
Thanks for the presentations. Questions?
I have a couple. You're requesting the municipality to be a title event partner for 2023. What is the cost of a typical booth? Because typically we've rented 3 to 6 booths. If we became a title sponsor, we would get how many booths included?
You would get whatever booths you needed.
Okay, and so what's the average cost?
The average cost of a booth is for the Northern Rockies has been, depending on the year, between $3,000 and $6,000. I would say your high end, very high end has been that when you've done like 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 booths kind of thing. But it's been as low as $2,500, $3,000.
Oh, total, not per booth.
Not per booth, no.
Okay, and then to me, the word partner means, so sponsorship is a little bit different than partner, because to me, partner means that if there was surplus revenue generated, then the partner would share in that as well. So I just wanted to confirm what your definition of partner is.
Well, probably not giving you back revenue.
I'd go back to a sponsorship. Well, I would maybe think that would be a good plan then.
But I did also want to say that we would encourage and be grateful for any participation that NRM staff or council was wanting to do in the organization of the event, depending on interest levels and capacity. Don't want to assume that you can, but certainly full participation that way as much as the NRM can.
May I have one more?
Please.
And then in the letter that you've included, in addition to the ask for the $15,000, you are requesting that there be a fee waiver.
Yes.
For the facility usage, as well as staff for the so there's more than one ask in here.
Yes, there is. Okay. And the bouncy castles and stuff in the past, the rec center has done that sometimes. It depends. But in my conversations with Mr. Woodland, he did ask that he would appreciate that coming from council, which is why that request was put in there. So, and
I'm assuming you wouldn't have the costs of that. That would
no, because you've never paid for that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Other questions? Councillor Souls.
When you mention keeping the booth cost and so on at pre-pandemic days, 2019, have you taken note to what the cost is at other trade shows that are currently operating?
We did, and most are keeping them at their pre-pandemic levels or with a slight increase. Most have not increased a lot. We're seeing, of course, everybody is doing their first trade show in 3 years, right? So I can tell you right now, so we did change our booth configuration a little bit. Usually we have about 80 to 100 booths, depending on just the size of the trade show, whether we go into the second arena or not. This year, we're assuming we're not going to be in the second arena, and we have a total of 64 booths. 22 are currently booked by 16 participants. So that's where we're sitting right now. So we're seeing, we've got interest for sure. I just don't know if we have, I don't know what my costs are going to be entirely this year. It's really hard to put an estimate on them.
Just to add to that, and I think I'll just put my hand here because I'm wrong, Bev can smack it. If you compare us to, to Dawson Creek or Fort St. John, our booth prices are actually considerably lower for the trade show. In fact, I want to say if we were to compare to the city of Fort St. John, we're probably at a minimum 50% less than what they're charging for their booth. So, and that is, another way that we are able to try and attract. But we know that we do have room, in the future to certainly increase that price, yet still be attractive. But just this year, just want to get back on our feet. Okay.
Councillor Andrews, did I see your hand up first or?
Yeah, but I figured it out. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Wilson, please.
Just a quick question. Are you expecting a lot of out of town vendors to come to Fort Nelson for the trade show?
I hope so. I don't actually have a clear handle on the expectation. And that's part of the problem of trying to assess where we're going to end up with the trade show this year. And that's why I want to go north as well and into the Whitehorse and Watson Lake and Yukon markets to see if we can't drag people down versus getting them up. Because I think it's going to be a bit of a slog just with fuel prices. We know that the exhibitors' costs are higher, as are our own.
One of the things with that trade show circuit is you always like to try and keep it a circuit so that they're not, so that your vendors aren't actually having to go back, right? Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case this year, and we know that. So that is certainly one of the challenges that we're going to face is that, anybody who is seriously looking at Fort Nelson is going to have to come from somewhere where they're going to have to backtrack, so to speak, whereas if it was in Fort St. John, they could just, swoop up or whatever. Not the case this year. So we just wanted to keep it consistent. That first weekend in May has been the Fort Nelson Trade Show weekend for as long as I can remember, which is why we chose that. We could have probably chosen another weekend, but at the end of the day, we were always competing with somebody. It just, it is what it is. So we're not necessarily on that nice circle pattern that we like, but we're hoping with some of these creative marketing ideas that, if there's enough incentive, maybe, some of the people that wouldn't normally consider backtracking will.
And one of the things, just maybe a little bit more background, one of the things that happened in 2019 is Central Display, who was our display company that did all of the booths and things. They're the primary central display company for BC, essentially, or for Northern BC, certainly. And they decided they couldn't make Fort Nelson work in terms of costs. So they pulled out, and they're the ones that set that circuit. And so that's why we're kind of a little bit out of the loop this year. We have found another display company out of Fort St. John that can handle the booths and do that kind of thing for us. But Central Display is actually the one that set that circuit, and it's how they move around to the different shows as well, right? Which took us a little bit out of that loop this year.
But they're like us, this is their first year doing trade shows as well. So they're being creative as well, right? Sadly, we may have got the short end of the stick on that, but it is understandable with coming out of that pandemic. We're all trying to find that niche, right?
Councillor Andrews.
Without a title sponsor, what would the trade show look like?
Well, hopefully it will go ahead and look the same. Where I'm concerned is I don't know that it'll necessarily be smaller because the same amount of work is going to go into selling the booths, right?
We will have to make a choice here pretty soon, though.
Yes.
If we don't sell enough booths, at some point you have to cut your losses. And if we don't sell enough booths and we're going to take a hit, which we can't afford to do, there won't be a trade show.
Yeah.
To be blunt.
Yeah, that's hopefully not where we're at, but we, can't. It's typically been our biggest fundraiser, right? It's one of the things that really helps us keep prices down for our members. It's a huge boon to the community, and it brings a lot of economy back into the community, and it's a exciting weekend. Everybody likes it. So that's certainly not my hope, but we can't be in a position where we're funding it. We have to be able to, well, I'm going to say at the very least break even, but that's that never includes my time, right? Or the time of volunteers.
And it's hoped, and I mean, now that's out in the public, and I didn't quite want it out in the public yet, but it's out there, that the Sunday is the day that we're shooting for at the museum to have our grand opening for I want to call it for the public. Then we're going to open for that day for the public. We're actually going to close for another week, and then we'll open for the traveling public. We believe it's important that the people of Fort Nelson get in there before the traveling public gets in there. At the end of the day, it is something that is funded by the taxpayers. They should be the first to see it. So we are shooting for, I think that is the 7th of May. And there's a reason for that because the trade show is usually half a day that day. So we're hoping that, after everybody's done and whatever the trade show on the Sunday, they can walk across the street, stay parked, walk across the street and finish their afternoon over there.
How's it going?
So I know that there's a lot of unknowns, and I'm just wondering, are you feeling that the fee waiver for the usage of the arena would not be enough of price break to a sponsorship or partnership or whatever word you want to use to ensure that it's to ensure that you don't operate at a loss? I'm just a little bit uncomfortable with the thought of sponsoring something that is a fundraising event for an organization. So I have a little discomfort in that. And I know that the rental, I don't have the facts and figures right before me, but to rent the ice surface for 3 days, because they're set up and take down on however long, that has to be a sizable amount of money as well. So I guess my question would be, do you not feel that that is enough of a...
Certainly we would be grateful. If that is all council feels they could do at this time, we would be grateful. Absolutely. Is it? Yes, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
short answer, but it's about that's about I'm going to say, my brain is right here, about a $4,000 in that range ask on its own. So yes, we would be grateful, and it certainly would help. Absolutely, it would help. And we will still continue with all of these other things that we were doing. Although in all likelihood, then I would want to charge you for your booths. She didn't say I was gonna.
Great to hear that the booths are staying at the same rate. How about admission to the trade show for people coming through? Are you keeping those admission rates the same?
Yes, and maybe even lower it. Although they're only $3, so we're not increasing them. We'll
we
go that far.
We certainly have had that conversation. That if we did have that level of sponsorship or whatever, that there might be certainly some room there to lower that, to make it more attractive for more people.
Well, and if we had discussed even removing it for people coming in, because the goal here is to get people into the booths and to get people in there, and if we didn't have to depend on admissions for part of our cost recovery, then that is also an option.
At $3, it's not our make or break. Anyway, in a normal year, it's just extra.
And what we normally do as well is we use some of those admissions to pay an honorarium, usually to either a PAC or the figure skating club or some other club in town to run the admissions tables.
Councilor Germain?
Right. Have you approached any other business or industry for sponsorship? I don't want specifics, but just wanting.
So yes and no. Short answer. Absolutely. We're going to continue. My sponsorship package is built. We've had a sponsorship package every year, which runs from things like sponsoring the exhibitors dinner. And in this case, I've also got a sponsorship for pancake breakfast in there, a sponsorship for the seniors seating area because we always have a rest area and a place where people can eat and tables, things like that. So there's a sponsorship available for that. There's $2,500 and $3,500 levels of sponsorship as well.
Have we sold any sponsorship?
Not yet.
Okay,
not yet.
Where my question.
Yes. No, we haven't yet. That said, I haven't shot it out there super actively yet either, because I've been working on building those packages. So that'll go out to all industry that's active in the area, as well as all of our exhibitors. So I guess to just one more thing, sorry, Mayor. My ask of council doesn't mean we're not working on the other things.
Yeah. Have you asked anybody else to be the title sponsor? Or are we the only ones?
You were the only ones I've asked to be the title
The
sponsor.
title sponsor. Okay. So I've got a few questions as well. So some of them are a little bit, would have built on some of these, but I was listening for your answers. So it's your fundraiser.
Mhm.
What kind of funds are we talking about at the end of the day over the years? What order of magnitude are we talking? Tens of thousands or thousands?
Thousands typically. So we saw as the economy started to drop off, we saw the trade show start to drop off too. So in 2017, 2018, we made roughly $5,000. So in 2019, we did make a little bit more than that. We made just around the $9,000 mark. And that was because we made a decision around expenses to pull out all of the carpet and things like that. So the aisles weren't carpeted, so that reduced some of our costs with the trade show company. But that also, of course, then reduced what profit the trade show company was making, and maybe part of why they decided not to come here. Yeah. Right. So it's kind of yeah.
At one time when we had 3 or 4 buildings in every parking lot, back in the day, yes, we were making tens of thousands of dollars. Those days are gone, and I'd love to see them back. I just don't see that in the near future myself. Yeah. I'd love to be proven wrong though.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's good about it is not only the fundraiser for you folks, it brings people into the community that wouldn't normally be here, right? And gives the community an opportunity, I guess, to interact with these vendors from wherever and get wares and talk to people that they never get a chance to talk to. So there's definitely a benefit there, but we're treading on new ground, right? From the municipality's perspective. I don't think we have a policy that talks about this kind of grant or this kind of sponsorship at this level. Am I correct? And I mean, it potentially goes into this draft policy that we're drafting to look at all of these issues around grants to community groups, and you can see how it's except for the fact that we're bringing it's a service to the community, but we could give you $15,000 and you'd be better off. You'd be better off, like your organization would be better, right? Yeah, but right. I mean, you'd make more money. That's why I was trying to figure out the order of magnitude. Yes. But there is benefit to the community, which is is the trade show event itself is a benefit, and I believe it's worth it. But we're in a place where it's new for us.
It's new for us as well.
Yeah.
We went around and around and
about
around
whether
the table.
to do this.
And this is starkly different than what we first had, because we did go round and around and around and around. The first ask was ridiculous, but we're here and we realize it's new to mayor and council, and any consideration, like we said, any consideration that mayor and council can give us would be very much great. We'd be very much grateful.
I think we'd have to get a better understanding of what these costs are going to be. So it's not I was kind of thinking it was $15,000 overall, but from your question, there's 3 asks there, right? $15,000 cash. Sounds like $4,000 to $5,000 building relief. And then the bouncy castle and the staff time at premium rates, right? Because it's not just the staff. I mean, we have to bring staff in to do that. So it's not like the staff that are there can just do it. They've got jobs to do. So you're bringing staff in at premium costs. Yeah, that's right. So that's a cost, and I think we need to know what. To tell you the truth, I have some difficulty with the title sponsorship thing, and for me, I would rather, if we do this, just give it to you one time, because next year you come back and say, oh, by the way, you guys were a title sponsor last year. We sure would appreciate another $15,000 for title sponsor this year, and on it goes. So
that's not our intent. We did have this conversation.
We've been around the block before, so we know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's an interesting comment, Mayor Fraser, because I really struggled with what to call it.
Yeah.
To make it appealing, if for no other reason than that. So I'm happy with honestly, whatever we call it. And we would be grateful for whatever level of assistance that the municipality feels they can.
What if we call it a one-time recovery grant? Because that seems to be what everybody's doing with respect to helping people get off their feet again after 3 years of, right? It's really a recovery.
Absolutely.
You're starting over,
yeah.
and you're looking for an opportunity to recover and get going
yeah.
again. And it's just, I think we need to understand the total cost of this, because it's A, we don't have a policy. B, there are other organizations in the community that have probably asked for something similar in total value. And we're asking for their books, and we're asking for their application, and we're asking for, annual reports. And so from that perspective, there's a fairness issue around the administration of a grant this big. So I thank you for coming tonight and putting this in front of us, because it's not something that's easy to do. But I feel we need to get a little bit better handle on what the actual costs are, so that council can understand that. So how are we doing for time? May
6th and 7th is the date of the trade show. If we can hear in the next few weeks. What
was our do or die date?
We didn't set a do or die date yet. We were just reviewing it as we went. So, obviously, in my perspective, the sooner we can know, the better. But we do understand that there's some discussion that maybe needs to happen. Yeah. And certainly what it's called is not a hill I'm willing to die on. It's not where we as a chamber have typically been. It's not the type of thing that we expect to keep going, but it certainly is a unique position we find ourselves in right now.
Mm. I just one more question. I know that Councillor Gerwing has one more. The general split of booths between local and out of towners.
I would say in a really good year for out of towners, it's probably 50-50. I'll be happy if it's 2/3 locals, which I suspect is probably going to be where we sit at this year. I would be surprised if we can get more than a quarter to a third of out of town exhibitors.
And the ratio right now on people who have committed, have you got any out of towners who have committed right now?
Yes. Not any really exciting ones.
That's not fair.
I'll be sure to let them know.
They're alive.
Honestly, the people that attend the trade show want exciting. Yeah. And well, that's not entirely true. Some want to actually have conversations. So,
that's right. Interaction with organizations they might not otherwise.
Absolutely. So, so you're right. That wasn't fair. I take it back. Now that it's recorded and streamed live.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to say that right now it's 16, maybe four of the 16.
So 25%.
Yeah.
Just like you thought you would.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Growing.
Last word.
Last word.
One or
no. Last word on this topic so we can move on at 7 o'clock.
Have you looked into the NDIT grants for festivals, communities, and recovery? I would just encourage you to check out
NDIT. I will do that.
Yes.
I haven't.
They have a fabulous festival.
But I haven't been successful with it before.
Oh, you haven't?
But partially because there's some rules around it, around economic and driving. Like when I've had businesses involved in sales, it's precluded me from it.
Oh,
so no, I didn't look at it. And yes, I should absolutely, and I will.
Okay. I gave the last word to Councillor Gerwing, so nobody else gets to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for
so
your
much.
Time tonight, right. And appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Okay. That takes us to report. We should probably pass a resolution authorizing staff to bring back a report with respect to this. Moved by Councillor Andrews, second by Councillor Roper. Any further discussion?
Do we need to
Councillor-
confirm what information we're looking for in the report, just to provide some
Timeline.
guidance?
Timeline too.
And timeline, yeah.
So timeline would be, well, I guess it's up to the staff to give us an idea. I think we're looking for budget numbers on what it might cost.
Well, I know we're in budget season too, so
Yeah.
everybody's really busy, so.
So yeah, I've got here, we obviously got the financial cost of that, 15,000. You've got the bouncy castle and staff time. We should confirm what that is, bring back to the council. We think that would look like.
Yeah.
Provide that. And then of course, just to confirm what the facility rental fee would be. So we can
Okay.
pull that information back and we'll attempt to get it back to the next meeting. I'll confirm tomorrow with Harv. I mean, it might not be the prettiest looking document, but at least you'll have hopefully some numbers to take a look at. Be able
Okay.
to make a decision.
Are the mover and seconder okay with that? Does the corporate officer have a good idea what the resolution is going to say? Which is, please?
For staff to bring back a report on budget numbers in terms of what it might cost to fulfill the requests prior to the next regional council meeting.
Okay. Duly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That passes. Thank you. That brings us to 8.2, Administration Report 1123, Development Variance Permit Application. Staff, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I jump? Oh, yes, I did. Sorry. It's because I looked at it and then I went back. So can we do 8.1, the Administration Report 1023, the Parker Lake Recreation Site? Welcome, Gabriel.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Recreation Sites and Trails BC has recently expressed an interest in developing the Parker Lake Recreation Site located in close proximity to Fort Nelson. And further to that, the organization has indicated that there would be an opportunity for the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality to undertake a public engagement process to help inform the development of that recreation site. So we wanted to bring this information forward to council for consideration on whether the municipality would go forward with a public engagement process at this time.
Thank you. Questions? So I have some, but okay. So from reading the report, we could do this internal.
That's correct.
Internal,
yes.
so it's not like we're hiring anybody to do this.
That's correct.
A statement, I think it's downloading by them onto us a little bit, but on the other hand, I know that there's been a lot of interest with respect to that. Did we consider whether or not developing Parker Lake would take away from anything that's happening at Andy Bailey Lake? Or do we think they complement each other?
They complement.
So I guess that's kind of to all of us as much as it is to staff. Has staff contemplated that at all, or?
That's certainly something we could contemplate further and perhaps bring more information back to council. Generally, our sense is that Parker Lake Recreation Site, similar to Andy Bailey, is well used by the public. So that being said, we thought there might be opportunity for the region to help inform provincial decision making at this time, should they pursue further development at that recreation site.
Yeah. So I'm sorry if I put you on the spot there, but perhaps that's something you put in the back of your mind when you're gathering, or when we're gathering the information from the public is do we think there's any kind of conflict there? So those are my questions. Councillor Growing.
So I had the same question as to whether we would be doing the engagement or whether it would be Parks and Rec. In answer to my opinion on what your question was, I don't think that they would be in competition at all. And I'm grateful that Parks and Recs are actually engaging us in the Parker Lake prospective development, because historically they just do what they do, and than we do us, but so I think that I'm grateful that they're reaching out, and yeah, I don't think it would be in competition at all. I think that if the work's being done at Andy Bailey, and if the work goes ahead at Parker Lake, I think that would be fantastic. The people are using it anyways, and so to put a few more amenities there, whether it's done by us or by Parks and Rec, I think it's just a bonus for everybody.
Okay, good. Councilor Andrews?
So where was your concern coming from, Mr. Mayor? Was it with funding through the municipality? Because I understood this is to be a Parks and Rec, or was it competition in the granting area of where the funding would come from?
No, it's my concern was about use and understanding better. I mean, I've been out to Parker Lake just getting my dog to do his thing with, teaching him, and I've seen campers there. I've seen people there with kayaks. I've seen people there with those paddle boards. I've seen so many, like it's
for actual use.
It's used a lot. Yeah. So is it? So if you were, but so is Andy Bailey, and it's a little bit further away. And so if are people using Andy Bailey because there's not the amenities at Parker Lake, and so therefore they go out there? I mean, so I was just trying to get a feel from you guys whether or not you felt there would be competition. I'm hearing that actually they probably benefit each other and would benefit all of us because there's more places to go, so more people can use it. So, and my downloading comment was, it was basically, if they're going to do it, they should be asking the public what they want to do in there. But I get from your comments that they haven't been, to the point that we even wanted to grade the roads, and it was a big deal to go through to grade the roads, and so, which is something we're out there and can do easily, but it's still a big problem. So them being here, I can see why some of you are relieved that they've come and they're looking for, but their report or their request is still, if we've got the money and if we like what you want, and then there was a lot of ifs involved here, and we certainly don't want to set false expectations either. Are there any other questions, comments for? No. Thank you very much for the report. What would you guys like to do? Councilor Andrews?
I'd like to take the recommendation that the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality initiate a public engagement process to help inform the development of the Parker Lake Recreation Site.
Moved by Councilor Andrews, second by Councilor Gurley. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Now we're at 8.2, the development variance permit application for signs. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Pursuant to Council's consideration on the meeting that happened on February 13th, the DBP public notice was provided to the affected surrounding neighboring areas of the 4804 50th Avenue North, which is within the 110 meters from the subject property. And so far, we have not received any comments or feedback from the public. This also satisfy providing notice to affected property owners to satisfy the legislative requirement as well as the NRRM procedure. And I would be happy to answer any question if you may have.
Thank you. The only question I had and you answered it was, has the time period been satisfied? And you said that it has been, so yeah. That's good. Are there any other questions from Sandy Carey? Thank you very much for your report. Must have been comprehensive, no questions. What would council like to do? Councilor Roper?
I would make the motion that development variance permit DVP 2301 associated with 4804 50th Avenue North, legally described as Lot B District 1577 Peace River Plan, PGP 12826, is approved for permitting all signage proposed in the application SP 2301.
Thank you. Moved by Councilor Roper, second by Councilor Enox. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Thank you. Okay, that the staff appointment 8.3, administration report 1223. Staff, please.
Past council members will recall that this is typically an annual event that the staff statutory appointments are made. So this is part of our officer appointment and delegation of authority bylaw, just describing who's who in the zoo. And this year, over the course of late 2022-23, we had significant amount of turnover and new faces. And so we held off a little longer than we normally would have, but we're looking for council's support for the staff appointments as recommended, effective March 1st, 2023.
Okay, thank you for that, because the report says October 12th, 2021. So March 1st? Yeah. March 1st, 2023?
So we'll update that accordingly. As you can tell, it's been a while.
So that attachment accompanies the resolution then? Okay, what would council like to do? Councilor Gurley?
Yep, make a motion that the staff statutory and other appointments and acting positions be approved effective March 1st, 2023.
As attached. Okay, moved by Councilor Gerwing, second by Councilor Roper. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay. There is some correspondence for information in the information package, so I think we can. Oh, did I miss something else? Oh, the revenue borrowing bylaw. I'm just jumping through this thing, trying to get done. I suppose. No, borrowing. So 8.4, the Northern Rockies Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw number 212 for adoption.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Stoll, second by Councillor Gerwing, that the Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw be adopted. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now there are 3 items for information, correspondence for information, 9.1, 10.1, 10.2. I'd entertain a resolution to accept them all for information.
So
moved by Councillor Gerwing, second by Councillor Roper. Any discussion about that? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, new business. 11, I have an addition, but it's at the end of the meeting. So, and that's the closed council meeting. So 11.2 is the email poll with respect to recording and streaming of meeting with the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. So I think we need a resolution to ratify the email that we did. Moved by Councillor Gerwing, second by Councillor Enax, that we ratify the decision made by email. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Staff would like us to confirm a meeting with Daytai Corporation to talk about an update on the geothermal project and maybe some other stuff. Looking for March 30th at 12 p.m. Is there?
It's here at the Bear Pit.
Okay. It will be recorded though, right? Yeah, we asked them already, so it'll be recorded so you can have a look at the information. Noon.
I will also be away. So the municipal finance that I'm going to weekend. Yeah.
But now we have.
Are you here? Are you here? Yeah. So that's 5 of us here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we'll go ahead with that. Okay. Thank you. Councilor reports. Anybody else want to go first?
Okay. So February the 28th, I attended the United Way Rural and Remote Seniors Working Group. The focus of this work is around transportation and nutrition, with work being done on an emergency preparedness resource for seniors. And the reason why I'm involved in this group so far is just to lend that northern perspective. I attended on March 1st the Northern Rockies Trail Society meeting. This group is a committed group of members dedicated to improving the trails in the NRM. It is in its infancy, but has done some work last year on the Teetering Rock Trail and hopes to do some more this season. Also, their AGM is scheduled for March 29th at 4 p.m. Yes, Councillor Andrews.
I was just going to ask when the next meeting was, but thank you.
You're welcome. March the 3rd, I attended the Community Health Plan Steering Committee meeting, and just a few things that I know you would want to know. As Ms. McIver sent out today, the business case for the CT scanner is completed, and council received a copy of that today. Thank you. Dr. Fury is still waiting for the labor market review that Northern Health has to complete so that he can apply to return to the community this summer. I just keep bringing that up every time so that you know. The Balters House, is that how you say that? Balters House in Dawson Creek is open. They have 7 rooms available. We still need to determine what rates they have established and the booking procedure, and then we can communicate to our residents. And just a point that travel must be addressed if we are ever to achieve equitable access to humane healthcare. The hospital and healthcare auxiliary is in the final stages of reforming. They have a board of directors now, so watch for further developments. The health unit and hospital update is they have 2 new home support positions, which is allowing for supports to our residents for 12 hours per day, 7 days a week now. Fort Nelson First Nation is fully staffed at their health unit. And the NRM recruiter, Diana Penny, has connected with all the sectors in the community and Maryland states and the Northern Health Recruiter. And in her role with the rural and remote divisions of practice, I think that's the name, she will be attending 2 health events, one in Niagara Falls and the RCC BC in June. Community paramedic reports 40 participants at the Walking Track Social. It's getting very large, almost too large now. She's continuing with the wellness clinics at Grace Manor and starting one at the Lamplighters. We had a discussion around sourcing funding to have AED machines in all public facilities, and they are currently creating a map to show where we have currently all the AEDs are located. BC Emergency Health Services locally reports that they have 2 local residents currently going through the training, and they hope to partner with the school district to provide EMT training as a high school credit program. So that's in its infancy, but that would be really exciting. And then I have some more really exciting news is that Villars Air reports that they successfully conducted their first medical transfer March the 3rd. Dan expresses appreciation to all of us for our advocacy efforts and sincerely hopes that this is not just a one-off, but rather a start of improved patient transfer for the NRM residents, and just wanted to reiterate that we really need to keep advocating wherever and whenever we can. March 3rd, I attended the Harm Reduction Committee meeting. March the 4th, I attended the NCLGA board meeting, which continued into March 5th. And unfortunately, I wasn't available to attend on the 5th, so I only got to attend half of it. But just a few points. The board is considering some bylaw revisions, mostly around inclusive language, and that will be brought forward to the membership at the AGM in May. And I also attended the Finance Committee and Governance Committee presentations, along with a presentation from Joel Mackay from NDIT. And the meeting concluded with director updates from the region. And March the 7th, I attended the Grace Manor board meeting. That's good.
Thank you. Good that you're sticking to the talking points. Okay, last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of meetings ourselves. So there's been lots going on, but there's a couple of things that I did. Some of you were around, some of you weren't. Some things that like I had a meeting with the auditors. So I was the only one asked, I guess, to be interviewed by them. I think Dan Rose is the auditor. Al Bone. Boy, I got that completely wrong. Close. Yeah, not even close. Al Bone. Yeah. So, you know, and it's strange because I was a firefighter with Al. So the name, not this Al, but a different Al, right? And the name should have stuck. And for some reason, I was thinking about Dan Rose, obviously, in the Peace River Regional District. Anyways, he liked what Trevor and his team were doing. He's comfortable. He's obviously been doing our audit since 2009. He's a partner there now, and you know he's kind of grown along with us and has seen the ups and downs in our community, and has worked with our team and is pretty comfortable with the way we're doing our business. And in fact, says that if you were coming out of university and you looked at the way we're doing things, for the most part, it's set up just the way they would expect it to, right out of the book. So he's pretty happy about that. I also attended, actually a couple of us attended a meeting with the Rangers. Their CAO and a couple of their senior NCOs were in town. So there was 3 of the local Rangers with them. They wanted to let us know the different types of assistance that they're able to provide. I asked them about funding because they're funded by the federal government, and particularly the Department of Defense. Talked about all the different training that they do and whether or not that training was consistent, so that if the chief or the RCMP wanted to bring them in, they would understand the training that they've got, because it's consistent training around the provinces is what they're doing. So they're doing some of their own things, but they're also doing the courses at the province, like the water rescue is recognized provincially, right? And so those are the ones that they're doing. I asked them about liabilities, what happens if somebody gets hurt, the different equipment that's available to them, and making sure that there's coordination with respect to call out. Because there was some discussion about them being just the average guy, and they're probably on the scene anyway. And when they get their official notice. So I wanted to firm that up to make sure they're being called out by us or our EOC, or they're being called out by the RCMP. They're not just showing up, right? That's all got to be done. So it was good that there was some discussion between all the organizations so that everybody understands what they do and how they can help us. So that was a good meeting. I attended the annual ice carnival for the Mile 300 Figure Skating Club, not as a delegate of council, just as a member of the public, and I thought they did a wonderful job. It was their theme was sort of history back through the years of all the different carnivals that they've done over the past 50 years. They've been a club in town for 50 years, so that celebration was going on. I remember some of the themes that they talked about because my sisters were figure skaters back in the late 70s and 80s that they were talking about. So I remember Mom sewing up all the costumes and stuff. So yeah, so it was very good. They did a great job. It was cute. That's it for me. Is there anybody else have anything? Okay. Councilor Dickey?
So I was I guess chosen to be part of the Real Estate Foundation of BC as a board of governors. So I had my first meeting last Friday, and I did my orientation on Wednesday. But we have 4 quarterly meetings, 2 Zoom, 2 in person. The Zoom or the in-person meeting is in Osoyoos in June, and then the December meeting is in Vancouver, first weekend in December. But they do impact investing and grants towards sustainability, equity, food security, social justice, and land investments. So I'm really excited about it. They have a board of governors of 6 members, and they grant out about 4 or 5 million each year. So I was really happy to be part of their group.
So have you been appointed as an individual or as in your capacity at the band?
Well, they actually contacted me through, they said, congratulations on your NRN council.
Right. Being elected?
Being elected, yeah. So they have connections with Kathy Dickey, Lana Lowe, Curtis Dickey. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So as an individual, yeah. Okay. Okay. So any strategic priorities to talk about, staff? No? Okay.
Just, sorry, Mayor, just a reminder for those that I reached out individually for any of those that haven't had an opportunity to pass information on the questionnaire to Christina. And then, of course, the 27th, we hope to be able to convene on the afternoon when this was hoping the plane's on time. And if so, we'll start the strategic planning.
Good. And that's a 2-day exercise over 3 days, essentially.
2-day exercise over 3 days, and just the committee of the whole meeting, of course, that'll be broader committee of the whole meeting, so we won't be meeting at 5, specifically 5 to 6 like we have, and we'll run right till probably 6 o'clock. I think do dinner and then start the regular meeting that night at 6:30. So a couple items on the agenda or on the docket to discuss at the committee of the whole. So see where we may be able to fit that in and plug it in based on availability, but it's pretty tight looking at everyone's availability. We'll let you know what that looks like.
Yeah, good. Strategic planning. Is there any questions from the media or the public? Tonight's meeting? Nobody online? Okay, then I would like a resolution to move in camera for section 91E of the Local Government Act. Oh.
A motion to waive notice.
Yeah, let's go. For the in-camera meeting?
Yeah.
Let's establish an in-camera meeting first, and then we'll.
Okay, before closing.
Before we close. Yeah. A motion to go in camera for section 91E, which is real estate of the community charter. Moved by Councillor Andrews, second by Councillor Dickey. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Could I have a resolution, please, to waive the notice requirement for meetings? Moved by Councillor Souls, second by Councillor Andrews. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Okay, we will. You guys got my back. Thank you very much. So we will reconvene the regular meeting and rise with the report. Corporate officer, please read the motion, please.
Moved by Councillor Enoch, seconded by Councillor Roper, that council directs staff to purchase a house through an expression of interest process as part of the recruitment, retention, education, and training incentive program.
Thank you very much. That brings us to adjournment. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Good meeting.
You're welcome.